Businesses are literally capitalizing on this viral scandal for memes and marketing content. But behind the entertainment value lies real human devastation and a corporate war that's just getting started. We're not just talking about a cheating scandal anymore. We're witnessing the complete implosion of a billion-dollar company, a legal battle that could reshape workplace law, and an HR executive who decided that if she's going down, she's taking everyone with her. What started as 30 seconds of awkward kiss cam footage has evolved into the most expensive corporate scandal in recent memory, with stock prices plummeting, board members plotting coups, and enough leaked evidence to keep employment lawyers busy for years. This isn't just about Andy Byron and Kristin Cabot getting caught at a Coldplay concert. This is about what happens when the person trained to handle corporate crises decides to become the crisis herself. Let's set the scene for the viral moment that launched 1,000 lawsuits. The Coldplay concert kiss cam lands on Andy Byron, CEO of tech giant Astronomer, sitting suspiciously close to Kristin Cabot, the company's head of HR. The awkward body language was unmistakable. She leans in for what looks like an intimate moment. He pulls back with visible panic, and 50,000 people witness the exact second when a carefully hidden affair becomes public knowledge. Both are married to other people, both are supposed to be the ethical leaders of their company, and both just became the stars of the most expensive 30 seconds of footage in corporate history. The immediate personal fallout was swift and devastating. Andy's wife wasted no time filing for divorce, and Kristen was seen packing up her office while rumors swirled about her immediate departure. But what seemed like a simple case of workplace infidelity turned out to be just the tip of an iceberg that would sink multiple careers and potentially an entire company. Behind the scenes, there were months of evidence building, emails, text messages, office whispers, and a paper trail that suggested this wasn't just an affair. It was a systematic abuse of corporate power that had been building for months before that concert camera exposed it to the world. Astronomer's corporate response was textbook damage control. Launch an internal investigation, issue statements about leadership standards, hope the whole thing blows over. But social media had already dubbed it the Coldplay affair, and what started as a personal scandal was rapidly escalating into a full-blown corporate crisis that would test every policy, procedure, and public relations strategy the company had ever developed. Here's where the story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. Instead of quietly disappearing like most executives caught in similar scandals, Kristin Cabot decided to fight back with nuclear weapons. She filed a lawsuit against Andy Byron that didn't just allege an affair. It painted a picture of emotional abuse, defamation, and career sabotage that reframed the entire narrative. Her legal team presented evidence including emails, direct messages, and compliance paperwork that suggested Andy had initiated the relationship, used his position of power to manipulate her, and then attempted to use her HR role against her when things got complicated. The corporate meltdown that followed was unlike anything the business world had seen in years. Board members were panicking, lawyers were being retained by the dozen, the stock price started dropping, and employees were quietly updating their resumes while wondering if their company would survive the scandal. Kristen had repositioned herself from rule breaker to whistleblower, claiming she was exposing systematic corporate misconduct rather than participating in it. Public opinion was split. Some saw her as brave for fighting back against a powerful CEO. Others viewed her as manipulative and trying to escape accountability for her own actions. The day one aftermath looked like a corporate apocalypse. LinkedIn profiles vanished overnight, executive bios disappeared from the company website, and internal chaos included canceled meetings, emergency town halls, and whispered conversations about NDAs and legal liability. This wasn't just an HR issue anymore. This was corporate warfare with millions of dollars and multiple careers hanging in the balance. The suspicious hiring practices that emerged painted an even more damaging picture. Kristen had been hired less than a year earlier, bypassing standard procedures and background checks in what employees now described as an unusually quick hiring process. The timeline suggested the relationship developed rapidly after her arrival, with increasing pressure for her to attend events alone with the CEO. Post-scandal, she was forced onto unpaid leave while Andy remained protected by his executive position and board relationships. The legal escalation transformed this from office drama to corporate warfare. Subpoenas were incoming for internal communications, external legal firms were being retained, and government agencies were beginning investigations into potential SEC violations and labor law breaches. The possibility of shareholder lawsuits loomed large, and if Kristen could prove she was being scapegoated while the real perpetrator remained protected, the legal consequences could destroy the company entirely. The board crisis reached fever pitch as members divided into camps. Some blamed Andy entirely and pushed for his immediate resignation, while others went into full panic mode trying to protect the company's reputation. Leadership crisis management became impossible as public opinion formed faster than facts could be established. Social media had already conducted its trial, branding Andy as someone who violated every company value he claimed to champion. And the question shifted from if he was guilty to how deep the misconduct went. The text message evidence that Kristen's legal team preserved told a story of manipulation and abuse of power that went far beyond a simple workplace affair. Dozens of messages showed an evolution from flirty banter to manipulative control, with examples like, "You're the only one I trust to be by my side," that demonstrated the power dynamic at play. Andy's claims that everything was mutual and above board crumbled against evidence that suggested systematic manipulation, followed by cover-up attempts after the viral video exposed their relationship. The internal company culture breakdown was equally devastating. Employees started anonymously leaking information on Reddit and Blind, exposing what they described as a long-standing boys' club culture where powerful men faced no consequences for inappropriate behavior. Years of brewing issues suddenly became public knowledge, creating a crisis of trust in leadership ethics and raising questions about other incidents that might have been covered up. The HR department's credibility was completely destroyed. How do you maintain workplace policies when your HR head was allegedly violating them with the CEO? Kristen's media strategy showed sophisticated crisis management that transformed her from corporate executive to media personality. Major outlets were approaching her for exclusive interviews, book deal negotiations were reportedly underway, and streaming platforms were expressing interest in documentary series rights. PR consultants were analyzing whether she could successfully flip the narrative from villain to victim, evolving from HR executive to whistleblower to media sensation, while Andy remained trapped in damage control mode. The personal devastation extended far beyond corporate consequences. Andy's wife learned about the affair through TikTok, experiencing the complete blindsiding of discovering her marriage was over via viral social media content. Divorce lawyers were consulted, and with Andy's estimated net worth exceeding $200 million, this could potentially become the most expensive kiss cam disaster in history. Private family destruction was playing out with very public financial consequences. The social media and public perception war created viral hashtags, TikTok reenactments, and LinkedIn discussions that transformed professional networking into corporate ethics think pieces. Andy's name became a cautionary symbol throughout the business world, representing the perfect storm of how a viral moment can expose systematic dysfunction and destroy decades of carefully built reputation in 30 seconds of footage. The corporate exodus began as major investors demanded immediate changes and executives started departing, citing ethical concerns about remaining with the company. Whispers of a boardroom coup grew louder as 3 board members reportedly pushed for Andy's resignation. The company had moved from spin mode to survival mode, facing a compliance disaster that went far beyond any PR crisis they had ever managed. Andy's counterattack strategy showed the desperation of a man with everything to lose. His refusal to resign despite mounting pressure, preparation of countersuits against Kristen for confidentiality breaches and defamation, and attempts to reframe the kiss cam moment as a misunderstood sweet moment demonstrated how far he was willing to go to protect his position. Legal experts expressed skepticism about his defense strategy, especially as Kristen's team prepared to subpoena board communications that could expose even more damaging evidence. Weeks after the initial scandal, the situation continues escalating rather than diminishing. Secret board emergency meetings are reportedly happening regularly, the stock has dropped nearly 9%, and investor confidence is approaching crisis levels. Internal security measures, including badge reviews, audits, and lockdowns, suggest the company fears additional hidden secrets could surface. Meanwhile, Kristen continues negotiating with media outlets for what sources describe as six-figure deals that could set her up financially for years. The industry-wide impact has created comparisons to the Monica Lewinsky situation, with divided opinions about whether this represents system manipulation or exposure of toxic patterns that needed addressing. Legal teams across industries are rewriting policies, PR agencies are conducting emergency workshops, and the entire business community is treating this as a warning shot about the consequences of inappropriate workplace relationships. Even Coldplay has reportedly tightened their kiss cam protocols to avoid future incidents. The legacy transformation is complete and permanent. Andy went from visionary CEO to internet meme, while Kristen evolved from HR executive to headline sensation. Media outlets across all platforms are dissecting every aspect of their story, transforming them from respected professionals into cautionary tales about the consequences of playing private games in public spotlights. The ongoing lawsuits and divorce proceedings continue generating headlines, while Andy somehow still holds his CEO title, though sources suggest it's only a matter of time before board pressure forces his resignation. In the modern world, image is power, and his image has been destroyed beyond any possibility of rehabilitation. This scandal serves as a corporate caution sign for executives everywhere. In an age of smartphones and social media, there is no such thing as private misconduct for public figures. The final warning from this entire disaster is clear. Don't flirt with fire when you're under public scrutiny, because 30 seconds of poor judgment can undo decades of success, and the person you think you can control might just decide to burn everything down instead of going quietly into the night.